Matchday 20 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code PLGP to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Thursday, January the 2nd. We are here to pick over the Premier League Matchday 19 games, which finished a couple of days ago, and have a look at Matchday 20, the first matchday in the second half of this season, the first match day in 2025. And with that, we'll say a big Happy New Year to Barry Penaluna. And the first thing I want to know is, what were you laughing at during that entire introduction, Barry?
I have no idea, Malcolm. Happy New Year. I just had a little bit of a giggling fit for no good reason whatsoever. Thankfully, in amongst all that, I've composed myself. I think I might have been thinking back to last week. When Newcastle played Man United. That was funny, wasn't it?
Much funny. If there's anything going to make you giggle, Barry, that would be up there. I'll give you that. What's happening? You all right? Have a lovely New Year, Baz. Tell us all about it.
A little bit of disappointment. I've just opened what I thought was going to be a bag of beefy flavoured hula hoops. Yeah. Turns out it's not a bag of beefy flavoured hula hoops. What do you think it is? I've just showed you the back of the bag there.
Pork scratchings?
No, it's some mini chocolate digestives. Oh. You can see how I'd be fooled by that bag, couldn't you?
Well, not really, because it's a plain back, so that wouldn't say anything to me. That could be anything.
I don't want a digestive. I wanted a hula hoop, so that's disappointing. But otherwise, I'm good. I'm all good. Nice smells.
Very good.
I've been cooking tonight, Malcolm. I've been cooking a nice homemade curry, chicken, potato, and spinach curry tonight. It smells fucking beautiful in here.
Does sound very good, Baz. I would get right involved in that. I guess what kind of chocolate bar I've got in my right hand here?
A Whisper.
Curly Whirly. Unlucky. Teeny tiny Curly Whirly, by the way. They used to be about 18 inches long, didn't they, Baz?
It's come from a selection pack now, hasn't it?
Big Happy New Year to all our listeners. Welcome to 2025. We are New Year's resolution, Baz. We are not going to pick a loser all year. So that's pretty good. That'll be all right for everybody.
One of my resolutions last year was not to back Man United. And I can safely say I went 52 weeks without backing Man United on a money line pick. I might have took them on a team total once, but that was the best resolution I made. I think the other one was saying I would lose loads of weight, and obviously that never happened. So fuck that. That's not going to go in again. But yeah, more ladders and not backing Man United was two of mine last year, and I think I've achieved both of those. Tick them off.
I was going to message you an hour ago and say, shall we make some resolutions, like some gambling resolutions? But then I could not be asked, so I didn't. While you're on the subject, then, Baz, Man United, they'll probably crop up a few times tonight, actually, I imagine. But I've been crunching the numbers, Baz, and it turns out that if you put £10 on the Man United's opposition since we started this show, you'd have won £1,025,025. No, so that's £25 on top of the million that you would have won from last week. So that worked out nicely. I went to work on New Year's Eve, went to Carlisle, was very standard. I've been there about 4 years running now. Nothing to report at all. I saw you very briefly on New Year's Eve, was it?
Very briefly, yeah, was I.
Yeah, you were hungover. I was in fine form. Have you sobered up?
Yeah, I was fine. So I was planning on driving back to Nottingham New Year's Eve, but then the weather was miserable, wasn't it? It was absolutely minging. So we took an executive decision between the family not to travel. We stayed at my mother's. I cooked some nice fillet steak. I think I shared my fillet steak and wine picture to the chat. And we stopped up there and travelled back yesterday. So back in Nottingham now, back to normality. Normality being still drinking loads of wine. I decided my resolutions, actually, Malcolm. I've got two. They're not gambling related. But I'm going to drink less wine, but I'm going to drink better wine. Because I've decided life's too short for shit wine. I've had some lovely bottles of wine over Christmas, so I'm not buying any cheap wine anymore. It's just good wine, but less of it. So there you go.
Right.
Simple, you know.
I haven't. My resolution last year, I think, was to eat more poached eggs. And I can't honestly say I kept count. I probably got to 22, but that was about it. And I don't know if that was more or less. So I figure we're wasting everyone's time with resolution chat. It was in the chat. Riley, we'll go from the bottom up. Riley wants to kick off the slow roller again for new.
I tell you what, it was a popular feature, despite the fact that it was a popular feature
with Patrick and apparently Riley. And what did it last 2 weeks? I think. Well, in fact, I reloaded twice, didn't I? I did it twice. At like 1 to 10 and got knocked over 2 out of 3. So yeah, in the next hour. Riley, I'll fire up the slow roller. Jason's joined us, Jason Beckwith. He wants you to get involved in the Hunter Valley Wine Bus, just outside Newcastle in Australia, I'm guessing. Who else is here? Lee, how we doing? Joe Dollar. Joe's been active over Christmas. Joe's watching Georgia versus Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. I've got that on the telly as well, Joe. Ian, lights out. Michael Roberts. Callum's obviously here. How we doing? Welcome along, everybody. I wanted to shout out a couple of names from Spotify who've bigged us up in the last couple of shows. Smith82. I don't know if Smith82 is a lovely man or a lovely woman, but Smith82 has been saying nice things, so we appreciate that. And Honcho as well. I wanted to mention Honcho. So if you do listen on Spotify, just write something underneath, any old crap will do. And that'll get us involved. Picks-wise then, Baz, over the weekend, not as good for me. I only hit 3 out of 10. The 3 I hit weren't terrible prices. So I made it back to 7.5 units out of 10. So that's the first time in a little while. I think that's the biggest hit I've taken in quite a few weeks. But Nottingham Forest hit as an underdog. And Ollie Watkins hit as my scorer. So I can kind of claim a couple of winners. I had some bits and bobs. Where I went wrong, Baz, was all those fancy priced unders. Do you remember I took all those unders? Because there'd been loads on Boxing Day, I think 7 out of 10. And I took loads and they were all miles away. They were dog shit. Turns out they were fancy prices for a reason. I've picked 2 more tonight, so I haven't learned a lesson, which is good to know. That's as far as I got. Any work? Any winners, Baz?
Mixed bag for me. Tricky weekend, but I think that's slightly better than you. 4 winners from the 10. My lock was Newcastle's team total. That landed easily enough. My long shot, Aka wasn't far off. I hit 2 of the 3 draws. And my long shots are not that far away. And the ladder was, fucking hell, that was harsh. Ladder was Newcastle team total, wasn't it? And they've hit that 2 goals in 25 minutes. And how they weren't 5 goals in by half time, I'll never know. So again, we hit the bottom rung. So it's not a losing ladder. We keep getting close. But we need to hit one soon. That was an opportunity, though. Newcastle should have got more. I mean, Man U tightened things up a little bit in the second half, but Newcastle should have been out of sight in the first half. Otherwise, fairly average week for me.
We've got a request in the chat from Regan Mortimer. Regan, how you doing? A Salah multi-scorer and a yellow card in the Man United game. Do you know what? That's always a good shout because the chances are he will score several goals. And he does enjoy getting his top off, doesn't he?
He does, he does.
So the multi-score is 100 to 30. The yellow card's about 8.5 to 1. So maybe 30, 35 to 1, Regan, something along those lines. Looks round about decent. Eye catchers, Baz. I mean, there's only one place to start, really. And it was Man United. And I know we're taking the piss. It was brilliant to win. I went to work on purpose to avoid it. As it happens, I was working in the stage at a concert and everyone went in to watch the concert, leaving me outside so I could watch the match. And I watched the first 20-odd minutes and I could not believe how easy it was. So we knew they were shit. We know they're shit. But what got me, the only reason I wanted to bring it up again from a semi-serious point of view, is the new manager, this fancy pants new manager, this tactical genius or whatever. He thought, right, what we got here is Newcastle's powerhouse midfield trio in form, athletic, full of goals, strong, cover all the ground, aggressive, feisty, Joe Linton, Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, 3 Rolls Royces and big angry men. What shall I do about that? How shall I counter them 3? I tell you what, we'll put them 2 fat old fuckers in the middle, see how they get on. How can he have done that? That was absolutely negligent. And that just says to me, that's a red flag. By all means, get beat. It didn't matter. We know that shit. That nothing changes. But you've got Kobe Main who's sitting on the bench. He's 20 years old. He can run around. Just say, right, go and run around. If it moves, kick it. If it doesn't move, kick it till it does. And then put 2 other people in with him. Just fucking try something. To put Casemiro and Eriksen in against them 3 was absolutely baffling. I couldn't get my head around that decision at all. Like, incredible. That was my reading of that. But
I mean, it does make you wonder what Mainu's doing in training to not be able to start in that game. I don't know. Amarin's not going to change a thing, is he? He's made it quite clear. He thinks they're in a relegation battle. He wants to be obvious with everyone, honest with everyone. He's not going to change. But even, I think you said to me the other day, even keeping that formation and that plan or whatever is one thing. But the personnel, you can still influence that. I know they had some players missing, but it's just bizarre. And Xerxes obviously thrown into a role that he's not played before as well, and then was made to be the fall guy for it, really. Honestly, I'm not sure how much time Amarin... Do you think he's got all the time he thinks he's going to get? He thinks he's going to get a year, 18 months or whatever to try and turn things around. Because January's not going to change. Nobody makes massive, massive changes in January in terms of personnel. I don't think Man United have got the headroom in terms of finances to do so anyway. So it's almost like he's just writing off this season. But he can't write it off because they are too close to the bottom end of the field that they can very, very much get dragged into it. But at the moment, he seems quite happy to just write off this season. And I'm just not sure that's going to work before someone's like, hold on, then no, you can't do this. I mean, like, you look at looking ahead already, we've got Liverpool coming up. Like, Erik ten Hag was shite, and he had the same shite players. But against Liverpool last season, there was occasions where he come up with a plan that was different to try and contain Man United and get a 0-0 draw or beat them in the cup and things like that. Amarim's not going to try that. He's just going to try the same shit again because that's his plan and it's the only way and he's not prepared to change. I'm not sure it's sensible. Like, I don't know. Bizarre. But it was so easy, Malcolm. You talk about those 3 in midfield, and it was absolutely startling how easy it was to just pass it in those little triangles. And on the odd occasion you lost it, you didn't need to panic because they just put it out to play or put it over the bar. Like, every time they threatened to do anything, they just absolutely fluffed it. It was bizarre. Well, not bizarre. We've seen
absolutely. It was mental and great. I enjoyed the Morrison's Butcher's performance very much. He's I've seen him this week, Baz. He's on the trolleys. The pigs and blankets all finished. Yeah,
I mean, who would have thought putting the 5.5? Who would have thought putting the 5.5 foot dwarf on the best striker in the Premier League for crosses would be a...
They've had to keep him on. He's on a 21-hour contract, so they've had to find something for him to do. So he's been on the trolleys, but obviously in this weather, it's not ideal for him. So we'll see where he ends up this week. We'll crack on with the eye catchers. Once I have mentioned Underdog Pick'em got one of the biggest menus for all sports. Underdog Pick'em is always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. Underdog Playoff Best Ball is now live. The Gauntlet Tournament is $2 million in prizes up for grabs for just a $25 entry. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR. Specials and boosts on all flexed entries. Our promo code is PLGP. That'll get you a special pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. That's it for now. Okay, I haven't proofread any of them. I'll tell you what I forgot to mention, Baz. I was on Vera tonight again. You missed it. Any Vera watchers or anyone with ITV X, what's it called, the ITV player? Get on, watch the 2-hour special from tonight and see if you can find me. One occasion of me outside the pub on the right-hand side, one occasion of me outside the pub on the left-hand side. Total of about 8 seconds, so you'll have to be good. But it's very much worth it. Nottingham Forest, Baz, eye catchers, just because good on them. Do you know what I mean? They were a ridiculous price. I'm probably bringing them up because I backed them and they won, and that didn't happen much last week. But that price away at Everton, and it is a tricky place to go. Teams have stumbled. We've seen Chelsea go there. We should get the 0-0. Yeah, Forest cracked on. They were very briefly up to second in the table until Arsenal usurped them the night after. But yeah, I thought Forest were worthy of a mention. We probably haven't mentioned them quite as much as this year. Everton, on the other hand, fucking hell. Do you know how many goals Everton scored this year, Barry, or in 2024? How many goals? Come on, have a guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess 20.
Oh, 31, Barry. Can you imagine? Only 31 times in the entire year you got to jump up and down because your team scored a goal. 31 times. That's twice a month. 2.5 times a month. It's not very much jumping up and down there. And Chelsea, I think we're worth mentioning just because they've had a little wobble, Baz. I mean, what, 2 weeks ago, really, we were saying they're on Liverpool's coattails, and all of a sudden, they're 10 points behind and out of it. And that's happened really quickly. It was possibly, in hindsight, kind of inevitable. The sequence they put together was kind of surprising. And no one at the start really expected them to be up there. So they'll be all right. But just that little wobble all of a sudden took them out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Forest. Again, good on them. It's always good to see somebody else up the top end sticking it to the other teams. However, as a Newcastle fan, when they're now pushing the top end of the table, I'd like to see them start fucking up a little bit just so we can reel them in. But yeah, it is good to see someone else up there, and they are doing a very good job of what they are doing. Nothing else really eye-catching. I think a lot of predictable stuff, apart from Chelsea, obviously. Very good result for Ipswich. Remains to be seen whether they can use that as any kind of catapult. But we'll see.
Frustrated with Ipswich because I did say out loud that they've got a shock in them, haven't they? They've got a big result in them. And I took them the game before. Now, I know away at Arsenal isn't the same as home to Chelsea, as reflected in the prices, 22-1 against 13-2. But if I'd maybe stuck to my guns a little bit, then Ipswich...
Funny enough, before the last one, I did think you would just go on a bit of a run of just backing Ipswich every week, hoping them to get the result. Well, had you have done so, you'd have been profitable.
Stay tuned, Barry, because we'll be doing Fulham Ipswich in about half an hour's time or something. Joe's mentioning our pre-season bet to Man United to finish in the bottom half, which is something quite good. Callum's not impressed with Trent and the Real Madrid saga. I don't know enough about it, Callum, I'll be honest with you. Forming an opinion on Liverpool's transfers isn't high on my list of priorities. Barry, anything else? Oh, I've got something right. Hang on. The tit list, Barry. You said when we put Kyle Walker on it last time that particular slot on the tit list was going to be reserved for people who'd rolled around untouched. And there's been a few episodes of that. So we've got some... I think Walker has to come off because you can choose, Barry. You've got Morgan Rogers, who did it against Newcastle. Pathetic. Joe Linton was nowhere near him. You've got Mark Cucurella, who's done it as many times as he can shake a stick at, and is a perennial tit. Oh, was he on the list before? No, that says Mark Clattenburg. Scribbled it out. No, Cucurella's been nowhere near it. And the third one is Pedro Neto for Chelsea, who's done it twice in the last 2 weeks, gone down holding his head. And he did a beautiful thing against Fulham, where he rolled around a couple of times, and then he did that to check. He moved his hands away to see if anyone was looking, just as the Fulham player slotted in the corner for the winner. He rolls around, has a look, and then just gets up, and it's really funny. But if that was the rule, Barry, with the slot number 6 on the tip list, then one of those three has to go on. Do you have any? We've got Lee Smith wants Cucurella. Callum's voted for Neto. I mean, do you have any strong
one?
thoughts?
It probably should be Neto, but Cucurella's an annoying fucker as well, isn't he? He's the only player. Funny, he's the only player in the league who can win a penalty for having his hair pulled. Because I saw someone else get their hair pulled the other week, and there wasn't a penalty because he only had short hair. I can't remember who it was now, but I remember watching and someone literally grabbed his hair and pulled it back, but it was only like a short head of hair. Whereas if it's Cucurella with his flowing locks, it gets spotted and it's a penalty and a red card. So I don't like Cucurella for that reason. I think he's only growing his hair to try and get people to pull it. But there you go. That's another matter altogether. Let's stick Neto on.
Okay. Oh, Neto's going on. No, I just wrote Cucurella down as well. It's a bit of a mess, this, I think. So as it stands, Barry, we've got Mark Goldbridge, Michael Owen, Rio Ferdinand, Anthony. Can't remember what a lot of these people did. And Neto. I'm just laughing at the name Mark Clattenburg on there that's been crossed out. He was on Gladiators. I watched Gladiators earlier on. Mark Clattenburg was on there, smelling himself. Right, okay. Tip list updated. Kyle Walker off. Mark Cucurella on. You going to say something, Baz?
No, we'd better get on with making some picks. Otherwise, this is going to be an hour and a half long.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Like, we've got battleships to come as well, Baz. We'll do that later on. Right, so we're going to start with Saturday. Where do we go? Yeah, Saturday lunchtime through to Monday night. 7 games, 2 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. Lunchtime kickoff, 12:30 Saturday, 7:30 Eastern time. Is Tottenham Hotspur taking on Newcastle United? Tottenham are 15-8, plus 187. The draw is 27-10, plus 270. Newcastle 6-5, plus 120. I thought this was a really, really hard place to start. In my mind, Newcastle traditionally don't do very well against Tottenham, but there's a couple of little sort of flies in the ointment here. Tottenham have got 1 win in 7 now. They were held last time against Wolves, not a good result. Fans not happy. The Fraser Forster diminishing returns continued as he waved that one past him at the end. Bentancur suspended for a yellow card. Jed Spence is suspended. He got sent off late on. Udogie is now injured to add to their long list of defensive problems. Newcastle 4 wins in a row now. And just as importantly, 4 clean sheets in a row. The key players are performing really well. Those 3 midfield players that we talked about, Isak and Gordon, your key men. The fullbacks look great. But the key to this, Baz, is Fabian Schär being suspended. That's a huge problem to me because he's probably our most important defender. Because the drop-off from Schär, unless Botman's fit, which I don't know, I don't think he will be. Even if he is, he can only be very rusty. But Fabian Schär is our most important defender. He's our senior defender. Dan Burns all right, but limited. Schär's top class, and he has been all season. And it's a big drop-off to what we've got to replace him with, which is probably Lloyd Kelly, I would have said. Kelly and Byrne at centre-back is a huge problem. So, Tottenham are put back on the no-bet list. So, I'm really had to get in the lab here to find a bet, Baz. And I have done. I like the Newcastle team total. The chart Lee's mentioning Isak and Gordon, particularly against this Tottenham defence. We know Tottenham can't defend. They just conceded 2. I like the Newcastle team total over 1.5, but I do think Tottenham can score. So that's going to be the bet. I'll put those things 2 together, Barry. Both teams to score and Newcastle to score over 1.5 goals. So that brings in a 2-1, 3-1, 4-1 Newcastle win. But equally, the 2-2 draw, Tottenham might mug us off 4-3, something like that. So both teams to score, Newcastle to score over 1.5 goals, parlay, 5-6, minus 120, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about Schär. I think Botman might make it, He's played enough behind the door, closed doors, under 21s and all of that stuff. I'm not sure they won't just bring him back, but you might be right. It would be a bit of a risk. As you say, 4 clean sheets in a row. More importantly, away wins as well in that recent run. 2 in a row now away from home, and just 1 defeat in the last 5. And that's been a big problem for Newcastle early in the season, was the away form, and it's starting to look a bit better now. So promising signs there. I think the 2-0 scoreline the other day definitely flattered Man United. Could easily have hit more in that. And that game did break a 6-game streak of over 2.5 goals. My first instinct here was look at the Newcastle team total again. Newcastle scoring 2 or more has been a regular pick for me. It was my main pick against Man United. And taking Spurs opponents to score 2 or more has served me well recently. I took Wolves last week to hit 2. That came in. But they're a short price, 4 to 7 to score 2 or more here, Newcastle. It's not surprising. It's, they've done it in 7 straight games, I think, now. But 5 of those 7 also saw Newcastle score in both halves. So that's where I've ended up going. It's a decent price. It's a big jump up from the 4 to 7 for them to score 2 goals. It's 11 to 8. Newcastle are full of goals at the moment, full of confidence, and that Spurs back line is absolutely decimated. So I'll take Newcastle to score in both halves at 11 to 8.
Okay, I like that. Creative, Barry, that's what that is. We go to the 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday, of which there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3 o'clock kickoffs. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, starting with Aston Villa taking on Leicester City. Aston Villa are trading at 3 to 10, minus 333. The draw is 17 to 4, plus 425. And Leicester are 7 to 1, Barry.
I had to pause for a second there when you said Saturday, because I've still got no idea what day of the week I'm on at the moment.
Oh, I've had to check several occasions, yeah. Yeah,
Until I
it's
get
definitely
back into
Saturday.
Until I get back into a normal working routine, my days are still all over the place. Anyway, Villa coming in off the back of a draw against Brighton. I think they were probably the better side in that one. More shots, higher XG. Seem to have the better of all of the stats. But a late equaliser for Brighton scuppered both of us. I think we were both on Villa money line in that one. So just 1 win in 4 for Villa over the festive period. Defeats against Forest and Newcastle, but did manage to beat Man City. 4 defeats in 4, I think, for Leicester, though, isn't it? And just 1 goal scored. City, Wolves, and Newcastle all managed to shut them out entirely. I like Villa here. I think Leicester have won just 1 away from home all season. That was against Southampton as well. They've lost the last 4 away games by a 2-goal margin or more. So I like Villa to win, and I'm comfortable taking them on the handicap here. Leicester are very vulnerable at the back at the minute. I think Villa can clean up here. Villa minus 1.5 handicap at evens.
There was 2 games in the last round that a couple of late goals cost me from getting back to SP. One of them was Villa conceding late against Brighton. The other one being Fulham conceding late against Bournemouth. That was costly for me. And I expect them to be able to repeat that performance, that level of performance. It's a similar handicap at home. The better team. They scored twice. They were 2-1 up. Probably should have won the game. But I thought Leicester played well against Manchester City. They were really unlucky to get beat 2-0. Particularly, both goals came against the run of play. Leicester made plenty chances. But then that form is really hard to judge because of how bad Man City have been. And I have been very, very willing to take on the Leicester City defence, and rightly so over the last few weeks. So I think the form lines parallel pretty well. So I'm happy to take Villa to win, but I'm going to tag on the over 2.5 goals. That's 4 to 5, minus 125, because it gives us a couple of options. It gives us Villa blowing them out 3-0 or more. But if Leicester get involved, which they're absolutely capable of, and Villa aren't watertight at the back, Leicester could help out with the scoring as well. So Villa to win with over 2.5 goals is 4 to 5, minus 125. We are brought to you by MyBookie.ag. We had a nice winner on Norwich City yesterday. We're at Luton on MyBookie. Plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. Head to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. And Rhythm, SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform. Helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds, get predictions for betting on moneyline spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models, or have Rhythm build a model for you. Loads of NFL stuff, college, NBA. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Next game, Saturday 3 o'clock, is Bournemouth against Everton. Bournemouth are 3-4, -133. The draw 14-5, plus 280. Everton are Burlington Bertie, 100-30, plus 333. Serial joins us in the chat. Serial, welcome along. I stopped handicapping this immediately when I saw the price on Bournemouth. 7th versus 16th. Bournemouth have beaten 5 of the bottom 7 so far. They've already beaten Everton this season. They've beaten teams that are far better than Everton, City, Arsenal. And Everton are absolutely rubbish. They're not even trying to not be rubbish. They will pick up some dog shit points in home games, but Bournemouth are plenty big enough here for me to take as a single, Baz. Nice little parlay piece if you want them, but I'm just going to keep it simple. Bournemouth on the money line, 3-4, -133.
Yeah, I was tempted with the same. Bournemouth unbeaten 7 now, but they have drawn 3 of the last 4 games. And Everton also drawn 3 of their last 4, with all of them being under 2.5 goals as well on the Everton side. The both teams to score no continues to hit almost every week with Everton. 8 of the last 9 games is ridiculous. And 10 of the last 12 Everton games have seen both teams to score no, which makes me laugh a little bit because the only time I took that was in the 1-1 draw with Man City, where the both teams to score no didn't hit. So I've stayed away from that one for that reason. But I do find myself looking at the same markets again, unders or either side to keep a clean sheet. Both of them are available at evens. The both teams to score no at evens, and same for the unders. Bournemouth have got 3 clean sheets in the last 6, and Everton have failed to score in 7 of the last 9 games now. I think evens for either of them looks decent, but I think the unders is probably the safer play for me, because if one of these teams keeps a clean sheet, I can't see a 3-0 coming into it anywhere. Everton on, that bad that they're going to concede 3 goals to Bournemouth, I don't think. Famous last words. So therefore, I think the unders is the safer play at the same price. So I'm going to take Bournemouth v Everton under 2.5 goals at evens.
People in the chat are trying to sort of handicap the game in the same way, but find a different angle in. Team total shots and corners, doubled up for Lee. Tarkovsky to get a yellow card for Michael, and Ashley Young possibly as well in there. So yeah, lots of ways to feed Everton in there. Barry, Battleships, it's time. It's your turn.
My turn. Right, C5.
That's a hit. You know it is, you twat.
Hey, is that a sink it, or we're still going?
No, still. I'll tell you when it's sunk, won't I? Dickhead.
Good this. We'll go with C4 then, Malcolm.
Right, okay, it's sunk now. That's it, dead.
Did you hear that?
Alarming loss of life there's been there, Barry.
Did you hear that?
What? Oh, no, I can't hear that.
I had a big explosion noise on my phone just for that moment.
Very good.
So that's a sink. Is that a 4-man?
That's gone.
That's a 4-piece head gone in it. Right, nice.
Yeah.
I'll carry on then. Go H4.
That's a miss. Unlucky. Right.
What are you?
I'm going to have to pull something out of my arse here, Baz. I'm going to go C3.
Oh, to hit.
Oh, here we go. Come on.
He's hit one.
C4.
Hit.
C5.
Hit.
C6.
Hit.
B. Hang on. No, B. What am I doing? C2.
Hit. Sink.
Dead.
Go on.
Fucking hell.
Oh, what
I'm
a
all the way
comeback.
back.
Fucking hell.
I'm all the way back. And then we'll go H2.
Miss.
Miss.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well played, Barry. I enjoyed that. Next game up is Crystal Palace taking on Chelsea. Crystal Palace are 11-4 plus 275. The draw is 14-5 plus 280. And Chelsea, shade of odds on 9-10 minus 111, Barry.
Yeah, Chelsea have hit a proper slide, haven't they? 1 point from 3 games over Christmas. And from a trio of fixtures, really, that would have looked pretty favourable before the Christmas period. Just 1 goal scored has been a problem for them. Palmer's not scoring, Jackson's not scoring, and therefore Chelsea are not scoring. And I think it makes them hard to back here, particularly against a Palace side who are going well. They've got just 1 defeat in 8 league games now. Arsenal are the only side to beat Palace in that 8-game run. The sort of downside for Palace is their home form. They have only won 2 at home all season, but there's lots of draws in there. They've drawn 4 and managed to avoid defeat against Newcastle, City, Spurs already. So they have had some, games against decent sides where they have managed to pick up something. And I can't see why they won't or couldn't do the same here. Chelsea 10-11 doesn't appeal to me, but what it means is I can get the other 2 outcomes in this game at exactly the same price. So I'm going to take Palace on the double chance market. Good form, and Chelsea going the opposite way. There's nothing to say Chelsea won't come back and get a result here. They will turn it around again soon. I think Palace just look the better value to get something from the game. So Palace double chance, 10-11.
Barry. I think Palace are live here. 1 defeat in 8. Comparison games. I mean, you've got my notes here, Baz. Comparison games, they drew with Newcastle, Villa, City. Chelsea suddenly 10 points off Liverpool, wobbling 1.1 goal in the last 3. And Palace can be a tricky away trip. Palace in the double chance market, Baz, 9-10, minus 111 was my pick. Same handicap, same bet. It's a team ride. Michael wants Eze 6-4 for a goal or an assist. Oh, shit, I've just dragged that in the wrong place. It's all right, I fixed it like a young Steve Jobs. Manchester City take on West Ham United next up. Man City are 1-3, minus 300. The draw is 5-1, and West Ham are 13-2, plus 650. West Ham have drifted a little bit. Oh, I know exactly why as well. The graphic on screen showed West Ham at 11-2, but they are a point bigger. This is horrible to handicap. Absolutely horrible. City were no better against Leicester at all. They were poor. They were really poor. They had less possession than Leicester, and I know match of the day, and some other people made a thing about it. It's only the second time they've had less than 50% possession in about 800 games or something stupid. Leicester missed several chances. City were there for the taking, and Leicester weren't good enough to be able to do it. I'm still looking to fade them. You have to. I mean, they're 1-3, for God's sake. What do you want us to do with that? West Ham last time out, I felt I had them pegged down, and it turns out I was absolutely spot on. They're rubbish against the good teams. And the reason they have drifted a point is that Jared Bowen, their best player, the most influential player, has broken his foot. He's going to be out for a couple of months. That's a huge blow for West Ham. They're quite limited. They're not dissimilar to Everton, is that they'll pick up the odd result when they have to. Bowen missing is a huge blow. So, before the Liverpool game, the 5-0, West Ham had 2 under 2.5s. City's last 2 have both gone under 2.5. And West Ham are going to be slightly more toothless without Bowen. I took this. So last week, I took all those fancy unders. I didn't take Man City. And fucking hit. It was a nice price. So I'm going to put them back in. I took them against Everton, under 2.5, hit. I then missed it against Leicester when I should have carried on. So I'm going to go back to it. It's not broken, and it's a massive price again. It's 12-5 plus 240. Man City might nick it 1-0, under 2.5 goals, but
I tell you what, we were close again here. City won a game last week, big deal. Still can't have them at 1-3, not a chance. even against the West Ham side, I've just got battered 5-0. They've lost Bowen for a lengthy spell. Can't be tempted by West Ham as a dog either. That doesn't really interest me. And like you, I think you come into City games at the minute, probably finding them one of the hardest teams to handicap, really. I even looked in the stats market and found no trends that I spotted that I wanted to get involved in. And then I found something. And like you, it was the goals market. Because it just looks wrong to me. Unders at 1-3. What's that based on? Because 3 of the last 5 West Ham games have went under, and 3 of the last City games have gone under. So 1-3 is ridiculous. City have just had back-to-back unders against average opposition, which is what West Ham are. And 5-2 for the unders looks massive. My bollocks are slightly smaller than yours, though, Malcolm, because that made the under 3.5 very backable as well. 10-11 for under 3.5 goals. And that's where I've went, because only one of the last 7 City League games has went over 3.5 goals. And I'm getting nearly even money for it. So I have gone slightly safer. I've gone under 3.5 goals between Man City and West Ham at 10-11.
As you started talking there, Baz, I was pulling that market up. I wanted to have a look at what that price was, and then you'd already got there ahead of me. Our sniffer of the week, Baz, I completely and utterly agree with you. That's a great pick. Next up, we're still on 3 o'clock. It's Southampton taking on Brentford. Southampton are 17-10 plus 170. The draw 23-10 plus 230. Brentford 8-5 plus 160, Barry.
Yeah, this one I found a bit easier. Both teams in a bit of a slump at the moment. Brentford, just 1 point from the last 5 games. Southampton, 1 point from their last 6 games. However, Southampton's form runs a lot further back than that. There's no recency there, whereas the Brentford form is recent. And it's partly down to a run of fixtures, which has seen them play 4 of the top 5 teams in the last 5 games. Brentford have had a tricky run of fixtures, and this one isn't one of them. I think Brentford are too big a price here. I think they've got a very good record this season. We've talked about their form against teams in the bottom half of this league. I think 8-5 is a big, big price for Brentford. I'm just going to take Brentford on the money line at 8-5.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Baz. One of the first places I actually came down on was the unders again, the under 2.5. But I was so conscious of what happened last time, the fact I've just taken it in the Man City game, because Brentford's 2 most recent comparison games, away at Everton, away at Brighton, both finished 0-0. Southampton have just had a 0-1 against West Ham, and they are going to be a lot more pragmatic under Juric, but they're still not very good. I watched Brentford last night. They're competitive. Like they're never going to die wondering. Brentford. They served it up to Arsenal. They got in front. Ryan nearly dropped a bollock and made it 2-0, which would have made it really interesting. And then Arsenal just sort of bullied them out a bit after that. But Brentford will just go for it here. And you're right, Southampton's lack of any sort of quality goes back a long, long way. And Brentford have proven they can win Premier League games. And at 8-5, Brentford are absolutely in the running here. So yeah, I've got the same pick, Baz. Brentford 8-5 plus 160. What else we got here? Callum thinks Southampton are going to get something. You're on, Cal. Tea time, 5:30 kickoff, 12:30 Eastern time. Is Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Arsenal. Brighton are 72 plus 350. The draw's 11-4 plus 275. Arsenal are 4-5 minus 125. You stopped handicapping this pretty quick as well, Baz. Bournemouth, I didn't get very far into. The price is Arsenal are a must bet, I think. 4-5. I mean, I watched Arsenal throttle Brentford last night, really. Brentford competed for 25 minutes, and then Arsenal just sort of strangled the life out of the game. Brighton aren't in a great run of form. They got a better result last time, a late equaliser with Villa. But that's 5 draws and 2 defeats in the last 7 games. And we've pointed out every week that that's been against a run of poor opposition. Their manager's getting a bit pissy, by the way. Everyone thought he was all frigging unicorn shit when he came in, young and good looking, and now it started going against him. He's getting a bit niggly. He could be on the tip list sooner rather than later. They're Arsenal good enough to beat Brighton here. That's without question. I expected them to be much shorter than this. I think 4 to 5 is a great price, Baz. I'll take Arsenal.
Definitely not a team right here, Malcolm.
No.
I want to find opportunities to fade Arsenal over the next few weeks. I mentioned last week, I think Saka missing will be a bit of a blow for them. I think they'll slip up somewhere along the way. It's just finding where it is. So Saka's still out. Timber's going to be missing this week as well. He's suspended because I put him in my fantasy team a couple of weeks ago. My fantasy team, by the way, Morgan Rogers suspended, Timber suspended, Cunha suspended, Sanchez got dropped last time, so I don't have a keeper. It's all turned to shite again, but there we go. The problem with it is I've also been in fade mode of Brighton for a few weeks now, so it's then when is the time to pivot? You can look at Brighton form in two ways. You've looked at it. They've failed to win in the last 7 games, but they've also lost only 2 of the last 9. So there are loads of draws in there, 3 in a row now for Brighton. And they did manage to get a draw in the reverse fixture. They went to Arsenal and got a 1-1 draw earlier in the season. Now, Arsenal are unbeaten in 9 league games, but they've also drawn 3 of them. And they've had a run of games recently, Malcolm, that saw them play just one top half side in the last 7 games. So the turnaround in form, a lot of it has come against shit opposition. The one top half side as well they played was Fulham, and they drew that one. Arsenal's form against better sides is poor. They've only beaten 1 top half side. They've beaten 2 top half sides this season. They've beaten Villa and they've beaten Forest, but they've dropped points against Fulham, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Brighton, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City. 7 games against top half sides they've managed to drop points. Now Brighton are only just top half, so I know we're sort of clutching at straws a little bit. But I think they're worth taking on the double chance market, Malcolm. I'm going to go the exact opposite to you. I've got Brighton double chance at evens. I just think Brighton might nick another draw here.
So you've got Brighton in the draw, and I've got Arsenal champion. I'm glad we worked that one out for everyone, Baz. Next up, we move across to Sunday. The early kickoff on Sunday. 2 o'clock kickoff. This is Fulham against Ipswich. Fulham are 1-2, minus 200. The draw 16 to 5 plus 320. Ipswich are 9-2 plus 450. Just before you go on this one, Baz, we mentioned you just mentioned Sanchez getting dropped, the Chelsea keeper. I watched Chelsea v Ipswich the other night, and it was the first Premier League game I think I've ever watched. I had no idea who either goalkeeper was. It was just 2 blokes, not a clue, either of them. Still don't know who they are. Anyway, just caught my eye. I was like, I saw one of them make a save. I was like, who the fuck's that? And then I went up the other end. I went, oh, I don't know who you see that show. Fulham Ipswich, Pass.
Yeah, I could do with a Chelsea fan letting me know why Sanchez wasn't playing and if he will play this weekend. So hopefully Harry Doherty is around and can drop us a comment at some point and let me know, will Sanchez come back or do I need to ship him out? Because my second keeper is Fabianski and he's injured. So yeah, fighting a few fires this week. Anyway, what game are we on, Malcolm?
Fulham Ipswich.
Fulham Ipswich.
It's written on the screen for one thing.
I know, I don't look at that though. Ipswich pulled off one of the surprises of the last round of games, beating Chelsea, their first home win of the season as well, that was. Their other 2 wins came away from home, but neither of them inspired any kind of run of form. So I think, for me, I wanted to temper expectations. I've got a feeling you're going to go for Ipswich again here, but not for me. Fulham themselves going well, unbeaten in 7, and only 1 defeat in 11 now as well. Loads of draws in there as well, a bit like Brighton. But many of the draws have come against better sides than Ipswich. The fly in the ointment here is the 3 straight home draws recently for Fulham, and one of which came against Southampton, which could be seen as a good comparison game. But I just wanted to be on Fulham here. Ipswich don't seem capable of putting any kind of run together. They're a bit short, Fulham, 4-7. But I'm going to tag on the over 1.5 goals, Mal. As you know, that's a little bit of a cheat. But I'm getting 4-5. I'm going to take the 1-0 out of the equation. Fulham are going to win this, but there'll be more than a single goal because Fulham very, very rarely keep a clean sheet anyway. So they'll probably need at least a couple of goals to get there. But I'm going to take Fulham plus over 1.5 goals in the game at 4-5.
Tell you what, Francis has just joined the chat, and with about 5 seconds. Hello, Frank. How you doing? he's dragged up a right arse sniffer there. He's put out both teams to score, and I've looked at the prices. It's 4 to 5. I thought that would be one of those 1 to 2 shots, like. So yeah, great pick there from Francis. Welcome along, Francis. Happy New Year. Fulham are in good form. I've been quite impressed with them, actually. 2 wins and 5 draws in the last 7. Pegged back late against Bournemouth. That was the other one that stopped me getting back to the starting line last time. And I did say on the last show, Ipswich had a shock in them. Took them against Arsenal, and then they went and did it against Chelsea. And that, on they've won 2 out of the last 4. Fulham drawn 3 at home in a row, and Ipswich looking lively. Means I've got Ipswich involved in this. And I haven't picked them as an outright, Baz. They might feature later on as an underdog. But it's a double chance because they're a nice price. They're 11 to 8, plus 137. Fulham are drawing games. And like I say, I think Ipswich have got a live chance of getting involved and pulling away from the relegation zone, or at least giving themselves a chance going into March, April, May, alive in this. So they're right on the coattails of Everton and Wolves, starting to play all right. Delap, if he can stay fit and bang a few goals in. So I'm going to take Ipswich on the double chance, 11 to 8, plus 137. Next up is the Sunday afternoon game. 4:30 kickoff, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time between Liverpool and Manchester United. Liverpool are, stop laughing, Barry. We haven't even started. Liverpool are 7 to 26. It's a stupid price. Minus 370. The draw's 9 to 2. Manchester United are 10 to 1. Now, I hate Liverpool as much as the next sensible man, Barry. But I hope they absolutely humiliate Manchester United on Sunday. Liverpool demolished West Ham 5-0. Totally non-competitive. Liverpool are absolutely purring at the moment. The only time they haven't really was at Newcastle. And they appear to have taken the handbrake off as well a little bit. Man United are a complete and utter shambles. The only decision I had to make here was what kind of battering did I want to bet on. So I'm going to take the Liverpool team total, Barry, over 5.5 goals at 12 to 1. That's my pick.
Over 5.5, yeah?
Over 5.5 Liverpool goals. It just seemed like the nearest starting point. So yeah, 12 to 1, but
yeah, I don't mind it. This was very close to being my my ladder pick, so I'm glad you've gone there because I decided it would be a little bit unoriginal for me to chuck out a Liverpool team total, but that price is ridiculous. Easiest one on the card has to be Liverpool goals. I was surprised to see Liverpool as big as 2 to 7. To be honest, they've scored 14 goals.
Get involved, Baz. You can have the lot on.
2 to 7, absolutely. You chuck them in any bet at that price. Scored 14 goals in 3 games. Scored at least 3 each time. This Man United teams are a shambles. Amarin's no intention of changing anything. It's all for the greater good, apparently. So just carry on regardless. Liverpool have already beaten them 3-0 this season. Man United were arguably a better side then as well. Not much better, but probably better than they are at the moment. And you've just got to keep backing against Man United. Liverpool team total over 2.5 goals at 5 to 6 looks an absolute gift. Francis has put the 0-0 in the chat. Man United might have got a couple of goals, a couple of 0-0s last year against Liverpool. But that was a different Man United team. I mean, it was a shit Man United team, but not as shit as this one. Can't have Man United in any shape or form. Liverpool team total over 2.5 at 5 to 6. I absolutely love your play as well, though. Like it a bit bold. Why not?
Game is on Monday night between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Nottingham Forest. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, which is 3 p.m. Eastern time. Wolves are trading at 2 to 1. The draw is 12 to 5 plus 240, and Forest are 23 to 17 plus 135. Baz, finish us off with a winner.
Well, first things first, Malcolm. Wolves are without Cunha. He's been suspended. Did you know that?
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I'm sure you would give us a advance warning of that, didn't you? You told us he was suspended.
I did try to warn you last time. Yeah.
Did only get a 2-match ban though for stealing a man's spectacles. I think was the offence. Again,
Theft.
he's in my
2
fantasy
matches
team.
for theft.
He is in my fantasy team, but small mercies. He misses one of his 2 match bans in FA Cup games, so that's not too bad.
Well,
I've struggled a bit with Forest lately. Keep expecting some sort of drop off, but it isn't happening. 6 wins in a row, and won 9 of the last 12 in the league as well. The defence is back to their best. They've just picked up 3 clean sheets on the bounce now. Wolves, on the other hand, have stemmed the tide a bit. 7 points from their last 3 games, and they've scored 7 goals in those 3 as well. Only failed to score once in 18 league games this season, Wolves. So I always fancy, once in their last 18. I think they failed on the first day of the season. I always fancy Wolves to grab a goal. Even without Cunha, I'd probably back them to get a goal. The Forest games, obviously, as I say, defence is back, and they've gone under 2.5 in 3 straight games now. But the Wolves form counters that and goes back much further. 7 of the last 8 Wolves games have went over 2.5 goals, and 16 of their league games so far this season have went over 2.5. 16 of 19. That's loads, that, Malcolm. So you're giving me evens for over 2.5 when Wolves are hitting it. 80% of Wolves games are going over 2.5. And Forest have had plenty over, I think, 8 of their 19. So not a million miles away from being half of their games. I'll take Wolves v Forest over 2.5 goals at even money.
That is loads, Baz. You're right, like. It's an interesting game. I look forward to watching it. Interesting little tussle, this one. 7 points from 3 games for Wolves under the new gaffer. But it's questionable, lot more, Baz. It was Leicester who were really struggling at the time. It was Man United, shite. And Tottenham, fucking, who knows what they are. And Forest on the charge, 5 wins in a row. The last 3 wins, all with a clean sheet. The last 3 under 2.5 goals, Bars, which count as yours a little bit. And the unders is actually favourite here at 4-5, which makes yours a nice price. Forest have played 12 games against the teams from 9th to 20th, because there's 12 teams in that bracket, Barry. They've won 10 and drawn 2, unbeaten. That's a great record. I tell you, that's loads of wins, Barry. No Cunha for Wolves as well. We talked about Jared Bourne earlier on. That is a huge loss. I think the form line, the Cunha suspension, and you can't underestimate Forest. You've got to keep. I mean, this is another one. In hindsight, that price at Everton last week was unbelievable. And I think on Monday night at 10 o'clock, we'll be thinking, shit, that was a good price. Forest 23-17 plus 135. I'll take Forest outright, Baz. Wood anytime goal scorer for Serial. Michael wants to get involved with Forest. He agrees with me. Francis agrees with me. And Lee wants Wood shots on target. 2 shots on target. 12-5 plus 240. Baz, 10 games in the book. We dragged the time back after talking a lot of bollocks at the start. Do you want to lead us off with some fancy stuff?
Yeah, my luck will be Liverpool to score 3 or more. 5-6 against Man United is my luck. Dog, didn't fancy many dogs this week. But given that I put up Palace on the double chance market, I'm going to go with Palace to beat Chelsea as my underdog pick at around 3-1. But I didn't really fancy many of the dogs. And my scorer pick, you can take your pick from Liverpool because they're going to score at least 6, as you said. Salah's scored 4 in his last 3 starts. Diaz has scored 3 in his last 2 starts. Gakpo has just scored in back-to-back games. So I'm going to go for Gakpo. Score anytime, 8-5, Gakpo. But I'm also getting 14-1 for all 3 of them to get on the score sheet, by the way. Diaz, Gakpo, Salah, all on the score sheet, 14-1.
Not your steak and still knackerbaz?
No. Got better than that.
Something different. I had a couple of locks here. I really like Bournemouth. Just some 2 straight-up money lines. I really like Bournemouth. But I'm going to stick with Arsenal. I just think they're considerably better than Brighton and will prove it at 4-5. My underdog is the same as yours, Baz, Palace. I've got them here at 11-4. You reckon we might find a little bit bigger, around about 3-1. Chelsea in a bit of a slump. Accumulator-wise, those 2 I just mentioned, Bournemouth and Arsenal. And I tagged Liverpool in because they're knocking bet just to get the price up to 3-1. It's a 3-1 acca. Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Liverpool. for my stake in Stilton, the underdogs, Crystal Palace, we just mentioned, Ipswich, you knew I was going to pick, and to double the price, I stuck Arsenal in there as well. Palace, Ipswich, and Arsenal pays 35 to 1, Barry. Goal scorer wise, I looked at the Fulham game, Baz, because I thought Beckett Godot at 4 to 1 looked like a nice price to score first.
I saw him
on
the list.
Oh, I'm milking this joke, Barry. 4 to 1 favourite he is this week, Beckett Godot on Bet365. I couldn't pull the trigger on him, but I haven't seen enough from the young lad. So I thought about Semenyo. You've got to go to the Liverpool game, though. You're absolutely right. And I've picked Virgil van Dijk because if any high ball comes in the Man United penalty area, they collectively shit their pants. Van Dijk's 20 to 1 to score first, 13 to 2 plus 650, anytime goal scorer. So give me Van Dijk in there, Baz.
Yeah, so my Accas then, where are we? Losing me notes. I've got something a bit different this week. My first Acca, my corned beef pie Acca, is it's a player to score or assist. So Anthony Gordon, first of all, to either score or assist. Luis Diaz to score or assist. And the final one's Cole Palmer to score or assist. That comes in at just over 4 to 1 for the three of those, all to get either or a goal or an assist. My stake in Stilton Acca is a yellow card treble. I'm going for Ugarte to be booked for Man United. He is at just over 2 to 1 for Ugarte to be booked in this one. Bearing in mind, he's just finished off a suspension for his 5th card of the season. He was booked in his last 2 outings. I like the 2 to 1 for Ugarte. Boubakary Soumaré for Leicester is the next one. He is top of the charts for Leicester in terms of yellow card, 6 to 4, shorter price for him. But he's picked up 4 in his last 5 starts now. I'm looking at that and thinking he's probably suspended, isn't he? But I think he's already had his ban for 5 cards. He's on about 7, I think, now. And the final one is Jed Spence for Spurs. I assume he'll come straight back in. He was suspended, having been sent off for 2 yellow cards. Given their defensive woes, if he comes back in, 9 to 2 for Jed Spence up against Anthony Gordon, that would be very nice. So Ugarte, Spence, and Soumaré all to get a yellow card, 40 to 1, just over 40 to 1. Jed Spence in a single. If he's starting against Anthony Gordon, Jed Spence at 9 to 2 is a massive price.
That's another arse sniffer, Barry. That's an absolutely outstanding pick because your doggy's injured. There's no one else. They're all shagged. Jed Spence is a great bet, Barry. Yeah, well done. What we got in the chat here, Serial's given us over 1.5 team total on City, Villa, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Forest.
Climb the ladder, yes.
Oh, hang on, yeah. And Jason's priced up his Salah hat-trick and yellow card combo. 42 to 1. Jason's keen on that one. So good luck with that, Baz. Up the ladder you go.
Yeah, as I say, my ladder was going to be Liverpool goals, but I decided to pivot, but only very slightly. I've gone for Salah shots. So Salah shots, he's had at least 4 in 7 straight games now, and he's hit 7 twice in the last 3. So 4 is the starting point. Over 3.5 Salah shots is 10 to 11, I think. Over 4.5 at 2 to 1. He's done that in the last 3 straight games, probably against better opposition than this. Over 5.5 at 4 to 1. Over 6.5 Salah shots is 9 to 1. He's done that 3 times already this season, and twice in his last 3 games he's hit that line. 9 to 1 for over 6.5. And we might as well go the final step. He's not done it yet this season, but this is Man United. Over 7.5 Salah shots at 18 to 1. So yeah, the ladder Salah shots, let's start at over 3.5 and go all the way to over 7.5 at 18 to 1.
Francis has rubber stamped that ladder, Barry, which is good news. One of the absolute shrewdies. Cheers. Right, Baz, we're all done. I enjoyed that. Solid hour and 5 minutes. First show of 2025. First big pick show we've done for a couple of weeks. Assuming we'll get back to normal with our scheduling soon. Next midweek is the League Cup semi-finals. So we'll probably do that Sunday night or Monday night. Baz, you look like you're pregnant with a grand announcement. What are you going to say?
No, I've just got one question before we go. We talked about the timing of this show earlier on, and you said not early because you were watching something with your daughter. What were you watching on the telly?
Traitors.
Traitors. We've had that on
Yeah.
all day today, and yeah, caught right
Had
up on
it
it.
on all day on catch up.
We've been catching up. Yeah, we've only just started it today, so we had a bit of a catch up. I've been watching Squid Game. Yeah, any interest in that?
Right.
Squid Game 2 in our house. So yeah, I was just curious because I was watching TV with the family as well. Curious to see what you were up to, but
And obviously, I was making everyone watch Vera on a loop until Bob was nearly like, he was really furious that he was like, "Yes, I know what you look like. You're in the same room as me. Why would I want to watch a tiny little pixelated version of you stood outside a pub?" And he was right, but I made him watch it several times. So that's what was going on as well. So you can do that next, Barry, when you finish this. Get yourself on ITV Player, get Vera on. I've never seen Squid Games.
There you go. Get on it.
Right. Okay. Champion. Well, stay tuned for the next scheduling of whatever this bollocks is. Thank you, everyone who joined us in the chat. It was fun. Always is. Like I say, like, rate, review, 5 stars, and go and write something, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or what have you. We do appreciate it. Barry, anything to tell the people before we go?
No, that's all. Cheers.
Champion. Thanks, everyone. Good luck with your bets this weekend. And we'll see you all down the road. Cheers.